Step inside the shrine of serious computer wargaming and a gray-bearded acolyte will eventually press a single 3.5-inch disc into your palm. "Boot it," he whispers, "and dare to marshal a million cardboard core." That disc is Gary Grigsby's War in Russia, a design so devoted to authenticity it makes you convert Soviet railways one hex at a time. Bizarre or classical? Think Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture performed on a monochrome CRT, underrated or overrated? An FPS fan might call it Excel with tanks. An Eastern Front grognard will lapse into rapture about Smolensk railheads. Fundamental or disposable? It's the gnarled trunk that feeds branches like Panzer General, Hearts of Iron, and Grigsby's own War in the East. Our through line today is that cursed rail gauge, the extra 3 inches of Soviet track that, in game terms, turns every dash on Moscow into a slow-motion logistical faceplant. Historical context: by 1993, Strategic Simulations Inc. had become Silicon Valley's resident war college. Designer Gary Grigsby was already legendary for Kampfgruppe, and the original 1984 war in Russia then revisited the campaign in 1990's Second Front, Germany Turns East. Unsatisfied with that interface, he tore the project apart, added full VGA support, streamlined menus, sharpened the AI, bundled a scenario editor, and relaunched the result under his own name. The new box boasted weekly turns, 20-mile hexes, 225 weeks of combat, proudly ignoring the CD-ROM fireworks dominating the era. While Doom prepared to redefine action games and mis-tease photorealistic islands, War in Russia shipped on a single high-density disc backed by a manual thick enough to stun livestock. In my local electronics boutique, it lingered beside Falcon 3.0, an aisle the clerks unofficially called the dad shelf. I spent a summer job's paycheck on it, expecting a quick blitzkrieg, and instead found myself copying rail conversion tables in pencil because the manual claimed that would speed play. That was the moment I realized I'd joined a different religion. SSI's marketing leaned into fresh post-Cold War curiosity. CNN was broadcasting walkthroughs of rusting Soviet tank parks. SSI invited you to refight the entire campaign, factory evacuations and all, without the dining table sprawl of classic board games like SPI's The Russian Campaign. Mechanics choose VGA at the setup prompt, and a muted-beige map appears. The whole Eastern Front in 20-mile hexes, each turn representing 1 week from June 1941 to July 1945. Units are corps level, except Soviet Corps, which actually equate to armies thanks to mid-war reorganizations. Movement is arrow key choreography. Hit E to execute, and combat results flash as terse percentages. Behind them lurk supply algorithms worthy of an accounting degree. The star mechanic is rail conversion. German engineers flip captured track from 1,435 millimeters to the 1,520 millimeters Soviet gauge at 1 hex per engineer per turn. Until the pink railhead creeps forward, panzers run on fumes. It's equal parts history lesson and slapstick tragedy. Plan a grand encirclement, then watch it bog down because a single rail hex near Vitebsk didn't get repaired in time. Supply phases model depots, truck points, attrition, and morale. Let spearheads outrun the rail and penalties cascade. Halved movement, limp attack factors, breakdowns galore. Soviet commanders juggle factory relocations. Ship too soon and industrial output dips. Too late and the Luftwaffe bricks the workshops. Weather wields a comedic sledgehammer. Autumn mud, the dreaded Rasputitsa, shrinks movement to a crawl. Winter halves Axis attack values unless cold weather gear is stockpiled. Spring thaw then turns roads into chocolate pudding. Suddenly that drab VGA map feels alive, mocking your timetables with meteorological spite. Air war lives in a sub-menu. Assign rail cutting, ground support, or strategic bombing. Overstack an airfield and operational losses spike. Few sites cheer a Soviet commander more than watching VVS carpet bomb Axis satellite core during Operation Uranus. Their demise reported in stoic text pop-ups. Scenarios scale from quick bites, Typhoon, Case Blue, to the 5-year 1941 Grand Campaign. Play-by-email fans spent months exchanging .trn files. I know because my 14.4 kilobits per second modem once lived that ordeal. The interface is its own rite of passage. Soviet counters default to retina-searing magenta, Axis to pale blue. Shortcut keys range from logical A equals air assignments to esoteric J toggles frozen river crossings for reasons known only to the devs. The manual's back page prints a quick reference chart that becomes an altarpiece taped beside the monitor. Legacy and influence reviewers lauded the scope, yet winced at the austere presentation. Computer Gaming World's M. Evan Brooks called it a workmanlike simulation and essential for grognards who missed Second Front. Despite modest sales, the design became a handshake in wargame circles. Master this and you'd earned your stripes. More importantly, its genetic code powered Grigsby's later classics. Steel Panthers borrowed the terrain engine. War in the East lifted depot chains, weather, and those pesky rail gauges nearly wholesale. The title found new life when Matrix Games issued a Windows-friendly mouse-driven freeware edition in August 2000, inviting a generation raised on Pentium towers to taste its logistical anguish. To this day, Matrix forums hum with after-action reports debating whether Army Group South should bypass Kiev or storm Odessa before mud season. Why didn't it break out of niche status? The UI punishes casual clicks. The manual reads like a staff college syllabus. And by 93, many players equated strategy with real-time spectacle, such as Dune 2. Yet for those willing to climb its learning cliff, no other game conveys the Eastern Front's brutal arithmetic. Rail hex by rail hex, quite so vividly. Closing paragraph plus score, fire up war in Russia on DOSBox and nothing looks impressive. 16 color counters, clacking menus, magenta Soviet blobs. But let the first snow blanket Smolensk watch fuel gauges bleed as railheads lag behind, and suddenly you're sweating like a quartermaster, praying the Volga freezes before Third Guard's tank army arrives. That's magic no polygon count can match. Bizarre yet classical, underappreciated outside hardcore circles yet foundational within them. It remains the Eastern Front masterclass, 9.0 divided by 10, because sometimes 3 extra inches of railway track decide the fate of world history. And no other game makes you feel that truth quite like this one.